to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. We have public comment. If there's anyone that would like to make public comment, and if you could state your name for the record so Joanne has that recorded in our minutes, that would be great.
Just a quick note for anybody who's new to the meetings, this is the only public comment section of the meeting, so if you have anything to say, I know some of you were here for the school issue, so now would be the time to say something.
My name is Jennifer Petrella. I've lived in this town for 41 years, and this school means a lot to myself, my family, everyone that has children here, has businesses here, travels here, that moved here. This school closing is a big loss for everyone involved. Whether you're a child and you cry about your school closing, whether you're a parent and you worry about how many hours your kid's going to be on a bus, whether you're a parent and you worry about your fourth grader going to middle school too early. I'm a big fan of keeping children as long as we possibly can, and this restructuring does not do that. I think in all, it's just a loss for everyone, whether or not it's the crossing guard, the child, the business owner next door, the person across the street. Everyone loses. And I think that it's a huge project in trying to find a way to make it okay. But in the end, this school closing is just not what any of us taxpayers want. Children, parents, anyone. That's it.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone else?
Gina Block. I'm basically on the same page as Jen, and I feel like this decision was reached without a lot of, I don't want to say thought, because it was an exploratory committee to the BOE, but I feel that it's more of an education issue. I feel that it's a town-wide issue, and that, you know, the myriad of committees that serve this town, EDC, P&Z, nobody was consulted. This is something that's going to impact the town, not just the school system. So I would love for the Board of Selectmen to discuss it and potentially bring it to a referendum. Thank you.
So, Gina, can I ask you, referendum for as far as the educational piece or as far as use of the building? Just so, because I want you to be able to say what you want now.
The educational piece. I'd like some greater discussion and town involvement with regard to restructuring, with regard to the closing of a school, and if we're going to close a school, which school, and if it must be HES, I understand, but I think there should be some more planning involved, and not just throw it to the wind.
Okay, Jen, can I ask you that same question?
I think it would be for the educational piece, definitely, because it affects so much more than I think that they realized. You know, the planning committee did an amazing job of checking all the assets and checking the boxes on which is the oldest building and this and that, but they didn't really realize the town's nationalism, I guess, and you know, with people's, all their family and their kids and everyone going to this school, no one really thought about how else it impacts the town, as well as our kids' education.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
The taxpayers paid for that school. I remember I went there in the 3rd grade. All them years we paid for it. They did our buses by not contacting the town. I don't think it's fair to the taxpayers to just have the school board, even though we elected them, decide what we're going to do with it. It should have been brought to a town vote. What the people that paid for it, it's like go to sell your house and you have no control over it. It's the same thing here. I mean, all the years, of course, when our kids were growing up, we wanted the cheapest possible, naturally, but it doesn't make sense. When we had the power plant, we didn't take advantage of it. And here we are again, the same deal we got with the buses. Charlie Parman, Woods Road.
I'd like to just add, since the comments were made, I would love to see the Board of Selectmen call a hearing, a public hearing, noticed in the paper, and allow the residents to come out and speak about this. We haven't had that opportunity. The Board of Education had their forums, and while the Board of Selectmen does not have control over the education system, we do have control over that building in a way. And if the school board is adamant about selling the building, I have spoken to Joanne Nessie, the chair of the Board of Education, and she is willing to sit down to discuss the possibility of the town taking that building over, whether it be a long-term lease, whether we buy it outright. I think the people, though, of this town have the right to discuss that with us. And while we might not be able to keep the school open for the children, we might be able to retain the building. It's a huge chunk of the center of our town, and I think that's important for the people to weigh in on.
Any other public comment? Okay, thank you. All right, approval of minutes from June 11th. Motion to approve the minutes from June 11th.
I'll make that motion.
Any corrections to the minutes?
I believe at the end of that meeting, we made some votes. We took some votes on the property sale. And we set a date and also set the price, I believe. And those are missing from these minutes.
I don't believe we put a price, but I did.
We did.
Making a date.
We left it at the 50 because we didn't have any bidders, and we did vote to say that we were going to hold, and Joanne had left for that, so I apologize, I was away, and I took the notes to that. So let's, Melissa, do you want to make a motion to amend them? I do remember the amount. And we picked September 15th to do it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we amend the minutes with the vote, with the motion that we hold a public auction on September 15th. The price was set for $50,000. You guys voted yay and I voted nay.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Any other corrections to the minutes? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Selectmen special meeting, June 18th. Motion to approve those minutes.
Oh, Joanne, actually, real quick, there was a typo, willful misconduct under Neil Perrin's comment. I didn't scroll up, sorry about that. That's just a clerical thing. I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Okay.
For June
Any
18th.
other discussion on June 18th? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have tax refunds. All right, so personal property, we have Cheryl Chandler for $65.92. Flynn Family LLC, we have 3 refunds for $1,015.02, $570.02, and $234.30 for a grand total of $1,885.26. And actually, I normally read these together, so I'll go from there. Motor vehicle, we have 3 refunds totaling $249.45. And under motor vehicle supplement, we have 1 refund for $106.11. Total grand refund of $2,240.82. A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, so elderly tax credits, there's a few of them that are in front of you. The threshold for us to approve these additional is $55,000. Traditionally, the Board of Selectmen have allowed a variance of a little amount over that. It's been about $2,500. There's 4 refunds. All of them are under the $2,500 threshold. There's 1, and I'll call these out individually so that we're set. For Burr, the total is $57,498. Priest, the amount is $55,396. For Hebert, the amount is $56,996. And for Lindell, the amount is $56,004. So they are above the $55,000 threshold, but again, because they're a small percentage of that, it has been the tradition of the board to approve the credits. These were the ones that were presented to us from the assessor's office. So if I can have a motion, I think we can just do them all together. If there's no objection to that, a motion to approve those credits.
I'll make that motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Next is appointments. We have a few to do. As you know, our code resigned from P&Z. He ran on the Republican ticket. Art has moved out of town. The next would be to appoint Chip Frey, who is the alternate Republican to hold that position until the end of Art's term. A motion to approve the appointment.
Make that motion.
Any discussion?
Yes, as you might or might not know, I think we should take serious pause about appointing Mr. Frey to the Planning Zoning full member open seat because I've seen personally numerous times Mr. Frey belittling or interrupting members of the audience, members of the public. I've also heard from a resident who was at a meeting who also went through that. I was not present at that meeting, but she explained what happened. And I really hope that people feel comfortable coming to meetings where they're not being bullied by members of the Planning and Zoning Commission or any board for that matter. If any developer or future business owner was at that meeting, at any of those meetings, if I were them, I'd be running for the hills to open my business in Haddam. So again, I will ask that perhaps we table this until Mr. Frey can maybe control his emotions on the board.
Any other discussion?
Yeah. I was at one of those meetings, and what I did hear and what I read on Facebook and what I read on a lot of things, what didn't go down quite like that. And you know, in all honesty, I don't agree with a lot of things that Chip says. I really don't. Him and I were on two sides of the coin when it came to Tylerville. He is a volunteer. If we start hanging these guys that are out there volunteering for us, okay, we're not going to have anybody out there to do it. Nobody's going to want to put up with this bull. Okay? Maybe he was a little wrong in what he did, but to crucify somebody, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. And I was at that meeting, and it didn't go down quite the way it was read out. Did he maybe handle it a little bit different than he should have? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But like I said, he's a volunteer, and he puts a lot of time in. There's a lot of yous out there who do volunteer in different committees and stuff. And if we start shaking our hands and waving and talking everybody down and this and that, we're not going to have volunteers for any of these committees. So that's what I have to say about it.
I have plenty of volunteers that would be happy to step up to that position. And just because somebody's a volunteer does not give them the right to bully members of the public.
All right, but Melissa, you were not at that meeting, correct?
No, and if you remember, more than 2 weeks ago, I've asked for the audio recording of that meeting so I could hear for myself and not go on hearsay from either side. I have yet to receive that recording.
All right, well, I know that Bunny Batzner, who has possession of the recording on her hard drive, was on vacation, and I know that I didn't respond to the email. Joanne took care of it, that Joanne spoke to Bunny, and Bunny's bringing the hard drive in tomorrow to listen to. So it is no secret due to the bantering on Facebook that you are not a fan of Chip Frey. I have a tendency to agree with Larry about volunteers. I don't think Facebook is the place for things to take place. I wasn't at that meeting also, but I know that Chip has dedicated his time, as so has a lot of others. I've already lost one EDC member because of the political bullying going on in town, and I'm not about to lose another member. So with that said, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of appointing Chip Frey to P&Z signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
I'll also state for the record, Chip Frey at that meeting resigned twice during that meeting, verbally.
I don't have a letter of resignation, neither does the town clerk.
No.
So, next appointment is Mike Farina on the Gateway Commission. There's an opening there. Chip Frey did serve on the Gateway Commission and resigned that position. Mike Farina has offered to sit on that commission. I think Mike would be a great fit for the commission. So, I have a motion to appoint Mike Farina
I'll make
to the
that
Gateway
motion.
Commission. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, HK Park and Rec. We have to do appointments, it's that time of year. Dave Flagg, Mary Ellis Hughes, Dan Ballinger, and Jason Lonergan need to be appointed to the Haddam Killingworth Recreation Authority Board. I believe that serves from July 1 or June 1? June 1st of 2018 through May 31st of 2019.
This is commission or authority?
Authority. Did I
It's
say
authority,
commission?
no, you said authority, but I
We-
believe the authority has to go to a town meeting, don't they?
After this.
We can't appoint them, is what I'm saying. We have to call a town meeting to the town meeting to appoint them.
I don't know, I was told that we had to do it and go there.
Yeah, we do. So we have to approve it here and then we'll set a town meeting.
Okay, so send it to me, town meeting, not one thing.
All right, any other discussion? Huh?
Do we have a date for that?
No, we'll just set it when we need to go to town meeting. We'll do it soon.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Set it up in the next couple of weeks. All right. Under new business, we had appointed a contractor, Diversity Group, to do the work for the ramp and the paving at the senior center. They did not comply with Nancy Wagner on the requirements of the grant in time. We held a meeting to meet with them. It was George Fellner, myself, Nancy Wagner, and Chris Corsa to discuss their failure to provide the contract, to sign it, and put the bond up in time. At that meeting, the contractor admitted that he had not looked at the bid document himself. He wanted to make changes to the contract, and we felt after meeting with him, his time frame was not going to work with this construction season, so we felt that we would move to the next bidder. So I need a motion. DEF Services was the next bidder. I do have a letter from George Fellner recommending them for the work. He has called and checked out all of their references. So if we can approve DEF to do the contract, the award amount would be $40,400. DEF can get the contract going tomorrow and get the work going at the senior center as we had planned to do this construction season. So if I can.
Are they ready to go?
They're ready to go, and DEF has done other work for us. So, again, I mean, Diversity had not done work. It seemed like it was fine, but again, due to the changes of the contract and then not, you know, it was well over 30 days and something that they had to do within 10 days. So the recommendation is to move to the next bidder. They'll still be within the amount of money that's been allocated by the grant.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So the next is Nason Road. As we know, that intersection is dangerous the way that it closes off. There is funds from a bond from the original developer that are in the account that will cover this work to be done. You were both given information. Barbara Bertrand and Chris Corsa attended a seminar through the CROG, where there is companies in different locations depending upon the state or broken out in districts, where you put the project in, within 48 hours they come out, they look at the project. It's all been vetted out through the state for low bid of what they need to do. They're for construction projects that don't necessarily require engineering, apply a little bit more than mill and paving, and work that our public works department either can't do or does not have the time to do. So they went out, they were, Hemlock Construction was the company that is in our area. We're both given that information on how it works and how they're vetted out. They've come back with an estimate of $130,801.41. Again, with approval tonight, they can get going with the contract, and we finally can get that dangerous intersection that should have been taken care of when the development was put in, taken care of. So if I can have a motion to approve Hemlock Construction.
I'll make that motion. Are they ready to, I mean, once we get the contract, what are they talking for time-wise?
Yep.
Before winter?
Before winter, that's the goal. Yep.
Make that motion.
Any discussion?
You have all the maps and stuff, or does Chris have that? I wanted to look at it
What types of maps?
for the intersection.
I don't know if there's any maps for the intersection.
Was there any information of what, I mean, obviously they had to bid this.
Yeah, so they went out and they took pictures. I mean, it's the way that the hairline curve is. You know, there's been conversation for many, many years. I was given this information when I first took office from Jeff Jacobson and Phil Goff, that this was something that needed to be taken care of. Actually, the developer was supposed to take care of it. Again, it's the bond money that's there. It affects the corner where Chadwick's property is.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the project. I was wondering if we know exactly what we're doing.
Well, they went out and they surveyed the area and they measured it, which you can see by the bid description. And it talks about the area, the construction signs, everything that they need to do to take it up. There was some work that was done initially in that area to start a cut through. So they'll be able to work some of that. There's another area where we're just going to have grass grow off on. But other than going out and looking at the area of the site, I did get some estimates from Jacobson initially that were about $190,000. Obviously, this came in well below that, but that was estimates that were done, I think, back many, many years ago with inflation factors put on it. So.
And what's the timeline of this?
Well, if we tell them now that we can go with it, the idea is to get it done by the time the asphalt plant's closed, which is traditionally by Thanksgiving.
Will you will Chris let the people know up there now?
Oh, yeah. No, letters will go out, just like they did to the residents on McTighe Road that we're working on now. Oh, definitely. Every resident will know. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. The next thing is the Teamsters contract. There's verbiage in here, a lot of it that mirrors the town hall union contract. Hoping you both had an opportunity to review it over the past 3 days. I don't know if there's any questions. And start though by a motion to accept the contract. The contract is effective July 1st of 2017 through June 30th of 2020. As I had stated previously, the union really dragged their feet in getting this taken care of. There were many things that we had to keep bringing up and getting them to come back to the table to meet. There was a lot of disorganization going on their end. So I finally got this, I think, Thursday at about, 4:30 or 5 o'clock. The big changes are transfer station hours are no longer going to be considered double time on Sunday. With the increase and change in laying out the hours at the transfer station, we'll actually be able to open the transfer station earlier and keep the transfer station open a little bit later. on all of these. No, I'm sorry, on Saturdays, it's not on Wednesdays. Call-in is broken out. They now have to put vacation in advance. They can't call that morning and say they're taking a week off from vacation. There's a lot of things that are now in writing that are clear, even though our personnel policy said one thing and past practice said another. A lot of things were set, and now we have a document to refer to. I have a motion to approve this contract from July 1st, as I said, 2017, to June 30th with the Teamsters.
Motion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, there's one difference, I believe. I didn't have a chance to look at the town hall union contract, but I would like to see added, and I don't think it would be an issue for either party, but under funeral leave, you just have immediate family is defined as mother, father, spouse, son, daughter, sister, brother. I would like to see partner or significant other added to that. I think it's important for our public works union to have that in there.
It is that, and we discussed that. It reads exactly as the town contract reads.
Well,
And that would be a reason to, if someone's significant other or partner, I don't see why that wouldn't be. We've gone through this, as I said, for over 2 years. I cannot make any changes to this. I have signed off that I will agree to it. They have met, they have voted on it, and they have approved it.
so then can I get a promise then from you as the day-to-day operator of the town that should an employee's partner go to, pass away, that you will give them that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem with that.
That was in the contract from 3 years ago, I believe. I don't remember from this one. So as long as you have, I have your.
No, it has come up in discussion, and there's absolutely, there's no reason to not have that happen.
And do you have a, not related to the vote, but do you have a dollar figure of what the arrears would be?
No, because we just got this. So again, it's the same amounts that were voted on, and it'd be very similar, any granted employees and difference. I know it would be less than what we did for the town hall employees, but again, this just came in. Joanne has not even had an opportunity to calculate those amounts. We'll know those. I can give you those amounts at the next meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. The next is our regular 9-town transit memo of understanding. Joe Comfort has already signed off on it. We just have a motion to approve it, so we have our agreement in place with 9-town transit.
I'll make that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, so that brings us to the letter that we have received dated July 9th from Joanne Nesty. I will read the letter for everyone that is here. As the RSD 17 Board of Education continues its work on the future of Haddam Elementary School building and property, I want first of all to assure you that our continued consultation on this subject with you and other Haddam Town officials. Though we have thought often about the school's closure and its potential sale by the school district, this letter is a more formal request to let you know that the board knows of any interest the town would have in owning and controlling the HES building and real estate parcel. I also would welcome any related insights or considerations as to the potential uses if the town decides not to take ownership. If possible, I would appreciate a response by August 15th. Thank you for your willingness to work with us to find the best possible future for this important property. Sincerely, Joanne Nesty, RSD 17 Chair, or Board Chair. All right. So there has been a lot of conversation about this in the town. The Board of Education does have the right to make this decision. And that Board of Education is made up of not only Haddam residents, but of Killingworth residents. I am not happy about the thought of having an empty building in the center of our town. I know that the board has conveyed to me, the committee that's working on this, that they have met with developers. They've had interest, and it is their property. However, saying that, we as a town do have a voice on what happens. Well, we can't control what happens to the building, but I think the town should have a voice in purchasing the building or not purchasing the building. There's been talk of the property behind the school being donated possibly to the land trust. That's been conversation I know that the board has had. I attended the hearings where the public came. I have not attended every board meeting where they've discussed it. I know that there's a lot of frustration about the board making this decision, but unfortunately under statutes and regulations, the way it is written, we are a regional school district, and they serve as their own entity with their own voting members. In saying that, I don't know how the two of you feel. To have the discussion, to have public input, I think is important on if the town wants to purchase the building or not. I have fiscal, financial concerns about the town owning another building to take care of and to maintain. We have empty buildings as it sits. I wish that we had the money to make it a senior center or make it a town hall or do something. Things are very tight, as most of you are aware of. However, it's really the taxpayers' decision as to what they may or may not want to do. I think we need to discuss this. Killingworth, obviously, the building's not in their town, the building is in our town, so we need to figure it out. And I think something needs to be done. I know that the school board has decided to go through this next school year with the kids and leave the kids there. I don't believe that we have any legal right, and I'm happy to look into it though, as far as preventing them from closing the school. I really don't think we have any legal right to do it. I've looked into it. They own it, it's theirs, and they can do as they wish. Even there was talk of the school at one time was donated by the Hazen Foundation to the town, but there was a deed correction and change done when the district became a district, when Haddam decided back in 1954 to be part of a school district. So other than that, I'm not really sure what legal right we have or what we can do. So I will open it up to comments from either one of you. And if you have input or suggestions on that, I've thought about it. Instead of spending $5,000 or $6,000 on a referendum, if it's something that the town wants to do, we can put it on the ballot in November, and it won't cost us. I think it's too late to do anything, and there's only a Republican primary in August, and time would be too short to be able to do anything. So I feel the frustration. I was a member of the Board of Finance when the Board of Education just went and sold the buses and didn't consult with anyone, but again, we looked into that and it was their legal right to do that. As I feel if we get legal opinion, that we will be told the same thing. I want to see there a use for that building. And again, I don't know if either one of you have any comments.
Has there been any prices brought out?
Nothing. So I've gone from, they don't really know. They have a committee, they have a meeting tomorrow night that I was going to attend. They've had 3 different realtors come in. One of the comments was, knock it down, which would be horrible. It's a beautiful building. I think it could be reused. Again, I don't know apartments or what we can do. I know there was a developer who I did meet with, who I told him the concern from the community because we have that gym there. It's used for Park and Rec. Park and Rec had concerns about it. Would there be a way to use the gym still? and have a separate entrance and have it be monitored and that type of thing. And everybody I talk to says anything's possible. But I have not gotten any dollar amounts given to me. I don't think they know. I really don't think they know.
I asked the same question and did not receive any information either. I don't think they've completed everything. And you can see by the letters that we received from the board, there's zero information. I'm a little concerned with that. But I do think, like I said in the beginning, that we owe it to the people of this town to have a hearing about this property. There's a lot of opportunity in that building. And I don't think the fiscal or the financial hurdles are that great. In fact, we could make that a wonderful senior center, recreational place, community room, town hall, all of those things. The kids can still use the playscape, they can still use the basketball court, and we can rent out the town office building and the existing senior center.
And that's true, Melissa, and it would be great, but there are issues with the building, and that's my concern. So we don't know what asbestos issues are in that building. We don't know if we can put air conditioning in that building. That was one of the reasons that they decided they wanted to close it. So I do think that the residents should have a voice in what happens to the building, but I don't think it's an inexpensive fix. I really don't. I'm very concerned about the cost.
We could have saved a lot of money out of this year's budget. We had $1 million surplus from Eversource. We didn't do it. There's a way to cut funding or cut our budget without cutting services and take on a project like this. It's just one idea. The town people might not want to do that. I know a lot of people here want that school to remain open as a school. As we said, we don't have control over that. However, I would definitely look into forcing the Board of Education to have a referendum. I'm not a lawyer, so that's something that you guys could maybe reach out and look into. But I do think the town has an obligation. I mean, that school has been in the town of Haddam as a school since the 50s.
Correct.
And it's a beautiful building.
No, it's a gorgeous building. And when I heard it,
so I do believe that we need to tonight decide to hold a hearing and invite the Board of Education and Howard Theory, the superintendent, to attend and hear what we have to say, and Killingworth.
I would like to see what they want for numbers. I'd like to see that first
so
also.
what I think some of the things we need for this hearing are the carrying numbers, so we know. You know, the Board of Education said they would save $1 million a year by closing the school. So does that mean it's going to cost $1 million to carry that building? You know, what does that mean? There were some numbers early on. I don't know what the numbers were. I don't remember what the numbers were.
We have some people.
There's no public comment right now.
Well, I would like to ask that we maybe.
But I would like that information formally from the Board of Education, so we get the not that they don't have the information or the
facts. We have the Board of
facts,
Education over here.
but we could have that written out as far as questions go, and then if we want to set up a meeting, a hearing. But what I don't want to do is, I am extremely sympathetic to the fact that they are closing the school. I am very sympathetic. The problem is, I don't know if there's anything that we can do to change that. So if we want to have a hearing and have people come, and we can talk about sending this to referendum for people to decide the future use of the building, I'm in favor of that. But legally, I do not know what we can do. And that's a fact. And I don't know if they'll have a change of heart. I have no idea. They seem to be moving forward on that. This is a piece of that. I knew this letter was coming and we would have to have a public discussion of it. I have concerns. We have empty space at the town hall. I mean, would I love a brand new layout and a different way to do things? Yeah, it would be great. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that need to go into that building to rehab it, to get it to be the way that we need it to be. Saying that, though, it's a gorgeous building. Something needs to be done.
All of our buildings are old and they all need work all the time. I mean, this
They
building
do.
is older than the school.
They do,
It doesn't
which is-
mean that we're going to sell it.
No, but we still have the jail.
I think
We
we
have
all
Scoville
agree.
Ho coming. I think the people in the town, I don't think it is right for the three of us to make a decision.
That's what
I
I said
think
at
that
the
the
beginning.
people
Well, that's-
in the
nobody's
town,
disagreeing. I think
nobody's
everybody's
disagreeing
agreeing.
with that.
I think these folks every folk in this town, everybody in this town has a right for their opinion as far as what we do with this building. And I think you know, we're all in agreement with that, so I think that's the place to start. But I would like to see numbers about what it's gonna cost us to begin with.
Yeah, and we also need to sit down and negotiate with the Board of Education, because I believe they might be willing to work out a deal. I think the cost savings, I could be wrong, and they don't want to say it, a lot of the cost savings is probably teachers, staff.
Cost savings could be teachers, staff, I don't, you know, it could be capital expenses that they're looking to put into it, I mean, we don't know. So what I think makes sense is we should reach out to them, ask them for information on that. We have a meeting scheduled next Monday. We can put it on the agenda for discussion, and at the meantime, we can look at the calendar and look at some dates of things of what we can do and take it from there.
I think we should have a couple of board members, some of the board members there. Maybe
Well,
answer
when
a
we
few
have,
questions
right,
for
when we
us.
have that. I mean, a public hearing, and then we can vote, a town vote, if we want to go to referendum on what we want to do with the building. I think it can serve a purpose twofold. So, any other discussion? Okay. So, why don't we just do that for the next meeting?
Which is
I think it's next Monday.
23rd?
23rd?
Yep, July
Tonight,
29th.
it's a normal selectmen meeting at 6:30. All right.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm waiting for one more piece that I was waiting for tonight, which was why we held it tonight. But the union contract was the biggest thing I was waiting for. And we got that on Thursday, so I wanted to get that set.
Bernard, are you on the capital planning?
All right, the last piece of business is, and I've seen this published and printed, is a district restructuring update for July of 2018 that was sent to us from the Board of Education to let us know what they were doing and what they were working on. So,
And just so the public knows, that restructuring plan for those parents here is on the front page of the website, if you haven't seen it yet. It's about 3 pages long.
and there's copies here if anyone hasn't seen it, but I've seen it. I've seen it up on social media, I've seen it up on different places, but this is the board's correspondence that I wanted to bring, which came with the email from Joanne Esty. All right.
One quick thing before we adjourn, the minutes for the May 30th, I noticed did not say that the money for the bond, for the road bond, the new roads that were added to the list, it didn't say where the appropriation is coming from. If you mentioned it at the meeting, it might just be a clerical error, but I think the notes, or the minutes to the meeting,
Which meeting
the
was
May
that?
30th.
Unfortunately, it was coming from the bond. It's coming from the bond fund.
Right, yeah, if the motion came
What-
out tomorrow, they wouldn't know where it came from.
The bond ordinance designates where it comes from.
Right, but it's not in the motion.
Okay.
If it was in the motion, it should be, yeah, got it.
Motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out.